Welcome to the Three Questions webcast series. I'm Wayne Baxter, Senior Executive Manager with One Capital Management. On this edition of the webcast, we're going to speak with a business growth expert and ask the three-question Canadian entrepreneurs should consider when launching their business in the United States. Thank you for taking time to check us out. And if you enjoy this episode of the Three Questions webcast, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our YouTube channel. Now, my clients are often referred to as cross-border clients. Why would that be? Well, it's because they're either U.S. or Canadian residents who invest in U.S. and or Canadian dollar-denominated securities like stocks, bonds, and ETFs. At One Capital Management, we develop strategies that enable our clients to grow, protect, and ultimately distribute their wealth. And we do that by offering investment wealth management services. Our process for advising our clients includes an in-depth discovery and diagnostic analysis of their wealth management goals and objectives. And for some of our clients, developing a strategy for a move from Canada to the United States or vice versa is a part of that process. If you'd like to learn more about launching a business here in the United States, you won't want to miss this episode of the Three Questions webcast series. On this edition of the webcast, we're going to cover the three questions Canadian entrepreneurs should consider when launching their business in the U.S. Now, launching a business in the United States requires a lot of consultation and working with many experts. I'm originally from Canada, and moving to the United States and establishing a cross-border wealth management practice was a significant undertaking. My goal was for me and my family to be able to live and work anywhere in North America and ultimately become U.S. citizens. And today's guest definitely played a significant role in guiding me on my relocation. Joining me from Toronto, Ontario is Kelly McCormick. Kelly is a business growth and marketing expert. She's assisted thousands of entrepreneurs and businesses to attract more clients. Kelly has an uncanny ability to decipher what is needed to brand, market, and to grow their businesses. And she's an expert, an accomplished speaker, an author, trusted thinking partner. She's lived and worked in both Canada and the United States and is well-versed on how a business must adapt for different markets. And as a matter of fact, the late Frank McGuire, who was the co-founder of FedEx, once said that Kelly knows what she's talking about. Take advantage of her wisdom. And that's what we're going to do today. And that's why we're pleased to have her joining us. Kelly, great to see you again. Welcome to the webcast.
It's so nice to see you too. Yeah, it's great, Wayne.
It's been a while, but it's great to Kelly and I have crossed paths quite a few years back before when we were in Canada, when I was in Canada, and you were actually in the US at the time.
Yeah.
Things have changed a little bit back from that time. It's great to see you again. And before we get to the webcast, why don't you maybe just spend a couple minutes and provide us an overview of the types of clients that you're typically advising and the services that you provide?
Sure. So I work with, I have two kind of target markets. I have entrepreneurs and small businesses that have existing businesses, and they hire me independently. And then I also speak to the same audience, actually, through their associations and through companies and corporations that tend to have independent businesses on their roster to sell or represent their products. And like you said, Wayne, what I do essentially, it's pretty simple in an overview, is I help people to get more clients. And when I work one-on-one with people, they often come to me because, and I think a lot of people relate to this, they've grown the business as far as they can and they want to take it to the next level. But as we know, there's a lot of overwhelm in running a business, and it becomes, oh my God, where do I go from here? Well, you come to me. I'm that person. And I help people to figure out where they're at, where they want to go, and how we even repackage things or introduce new offerings, how you describe it, where to market it, and even to price it, like how to connect with people. And then when I'm speaking, I have a couple of topics that I specialize in, and one is how to sell without selling. Because one of the things I discovered from my own career and from many other people's careers, they didn't get into business independently because they loved to sell. They got into business because they were experts at something.
They had a passion of some kind for something. Exactly.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And then the rude awakening is, oh, now I have to sell. So I have a whole program on that. I also have a topic which is very popular on how to have gender-specific sales conversations. And yes, it has helped a few marriages and partnerships along the way. So has been written in some of the evaluations. Actually, I was at one franchise and a woman says, "Stop! Can you please stop?" She shouted from the audience, "My husband's not in the room. I have to go get him. This is really important information." And another topic, which is very popular these days, is how to market to stand out in a crowded market, including on social media, because all these things are just overwhelmed to people. So essentially,
Absolutely
that's
correct.
what I do. Yeah.
And you're great at it. And going back to back when I had my radio show in Toronto, and you definitely helped provide some suggestions and some direction back then. So yes, I will concur with your expertise on this. You know what we should do? We should just get right to our questions here and see if we can we're gonna put you under the under the light here and see if we can
All right.
see where we go. So yeah, let's go ahead with the three questions right now. We're gonna actually the questions we're gonna ask are related to entrepreneurs and what they should consider when launching their business in the United States. So if you're an entrepreneur thinking, well, I'm in Canada, I want to launch into the US, what's the first question? Well, the first question, probably is the most sensitive one, is how do I deal with the feeling that my business is a small fish in a big pond? Because that's
Wow.
the reality. When you consider the fact, for example, I'm here in Southern California. The state of California's population is 40 million people, which, by the way, is the same population as the entire country of Canada, right? And if you look at the population of the United States, population is around 330 million people. So it's a much bigger market.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, you know what? I think that was one of my biggest surprises. And I had, before I even moved to the US, and I had been traveling, speaking in the US for a really long time, but I must admit there's a big difference when you set up shop. And I discovered, because I was relying on a lot of contacts and stuff, but one of the most important things I think that I had to adjust to, and I think a lot of people do, is there are some significant cultural changes that you have to be aware of with your business. And actually, I would like to reference one of your guests that you had on earlier, because I listened to quite a few of the stuff in your archives, which great content. You've got wonderful speakers, I have to say.
Thank you.
And yeah.
I think
Oh
I knew what you're
God,
talking about
really.
too, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I wish I'd known about this when I was starting my business. I would have been like, I would have been like thumbs up on all your videos. But the person I'm going to reference is, and I wrote it down just in case I could talk about it. And well, here we are right at the top. Lainey Denslow,
Lenny
and she's an
Denslow.
intercultural, yep, training expert. And that show was called Three Questions Canadians Should Ask to Build Good Working Relationships with Americans. Okay, so this is coming from an American, so this is not my Canadian bias, but it absolutely supported my experience. And the first thing she said was toot your own horn. And I'm going to kind of paraphrase her, so I can't be held liable. It's just a paraphrase here. But she said, as a consultant, tell us who you are, because in the US, your personal brand is important as your business brand.
Mm-hmm.
That was a huge, huge eye opener for me, for how to stand out and not be a small fish in a big pond. And I actually got called out on it. And I'll tell you a personal story about how I personally found out about this. So as I mentioned, I'm speaking, the US borders. And as a speaker, there's a bio that's on the conference about the conference. It's typically online, and people can click and and before they'll go to the conference, they'll check out the speakers, they'll check out your website, all this good stuff. And then there's a little bio about you. So as a speaker, you're always evaluated. People always ask me, do you get evaluated? I'm the most evaluated person you'll ever meet. So in one of the comments, not one of the comments, well, the first one, and then it was another one and another one, and this was not regional. Okay, this started to be a trend. It would be like, hey, great content. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. And then there'd be a but. And those are always a cliffhanger. But, and the but was, we don't know anything about you. And I was like, well, you don't know anything about me. I mean, because in Canada, it's kind of considered gauche to talk about yourself. You're bragging and you're not humble, because we're very humble. We apologize to everything, including doors that we walk into. So right? So all of a sudden it's like, what? And I was like, and they wanted to hear, and people got specific, there's nothing of, you talk on your website, on your about page about your accomplishments and, what I can gain from this, but I don't know who you are. Oh, that is so, it was actually a painful exercise for me to have to infuse myself in my bio. And I thought, okay, how can I do this in a way that would keep my Canadian humble sensibility, but also let people know who I am? Because I
Hmm.
had never had to do that before. We're so results oriented and focused on the other person because we're relationship people. Not that Americans aren't, but it's a different place that it's focused in the business relationship. So I started to write about why I did what I did for a living, because I thought, well, what is this really about for me? And I wrote a bit about how I really got the overwhelm of being in business and how it was a passion for me to share my knowledge to help demystify things for people and to help them to be able to move their businesses forward and to be like that trusted partner to do that. And that changed everything when I did that.
Hmm.
And then, of course, I infused the stories into my speaking career, but that's another thing. And that to me is part of how you not be a small fish in a big pond, is to let people know who you are. So a very simple thing you can do is go and look at your bios, okay, and read them. Do they sound too businessy? Do they sound too corporate-y? If they do, you're not in it. And the same with your social media profiles. Yes, we want to be professional, but if it's at the expense of not knowing who am I going to deal with in this business, you need to show up. And so it could be talking about, and I, because I've written these for people and we've done them in very clever ways. And I think I did some for you, even way where we put some of the testimonials in of what people said about you, because again, you're another humble
Which is something
Canadian.
you
Is
can
like,
do in
oh,
Canada, by the way, just as an
yeah.
FYI on that one, just to keep the regulators at bay here. That's something we can do in Canada, but in the US, you can't, believe it or not.
Ah, okay, good.
There
All
you
right.
go. On
Well,
that note, but this
there,
is this previous incarnation back when we were
that's
on the
right.
north
And
end of the
that's how we
border.
did that for, yeah. So, but you can talk about
I'm
how,
not talking for
even
myself. I'm not saying nobody can do testimonials. I'm just saying specifically people in my industry. We try to
in your
avoid
industry, correct. Yes, that's absolutely correct. And so I think that is, put you in it, make sure you show up, because in the US, you are your brand, your personal brand, as your guest before was saying, is as important as your business brand. And that was an uncomfortable thing for me to do, but then it became just what I needed to do. But I also noticed it changed the quality of the clients I had, because people were now connecting with me who got me and I got them. So it was kind of a win-win.
And I think would
Um,
say, Kelly, would you agree though that it was also once you got down here and got more established, it wasn't such an alien sort of odd thing to do? I mean, once you get sort of established here in the US and started to the more time you spend here, that kind of the way you put yourself out there a little differently was probably a little bit easier.
it is, but I think it's a transition for sure,
Yeah.
because you come down with a certain sensibility and
Yeah.
mindset that has to be shifted. And it's that uncomfortable in between time when you need to get business. And you've got to figure out, okay, I thought it was going to be similar, but it's not.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree, you grow into it, but
But
it's
it's a
something that you
process,
can
not an
already,
event, is what you're saying.
oh yeah, big time. So I think it's something do right away. Start to infuse yourself even before you come down to the States. Get ready so that, when you're promoting, pre-promoting or whatever you're doing, you show up. And Lainey
Interesting.
said something else that I related to, and it was customize your offering. But, we all know this, but she, as an American, said that Americans want to feel unique. They want to feel that what you have is especially for them. Okay. And I agree with that. And I think that one of the things that we do know is generalists are small fish in big ponds. I don't care what country you're in. So if you want to not feel like a small fish, and it doesn't matter what the size of the population is where you move, say in the US, you need to specialize or figure out what your niche is. Now, Wayne,
Mhm.
you've done that very well. I mean,
Yes.
a lot of wealth management people, but you have a very specific niche in helping people with cross border. stuff.
Absolutely right.
That's gold. I mean, I would have run to you if you had been down here because I kept getting people who didn't know. And you also have a wealth of contacts for business people who come to you. So you get, oh, just, it's just amazing. For me, I focus on working with existing businesses. I don't promote to startups. My niche is people who've already been in business. They get it. They know the conversation. We're going there. We just
Hmm.
get under the hood.
Hmm.
So again, figure out what your niche is and put it on all your website, your social media. It's part of your introduction, and that's how you will stand out. So those are kind of my tips. Bridging on, and I really recommend people listen to that other podcast you did, that interview. It was really good.
All right. You know what? Excellent answer. Not that I expected anything differently. Well done. And I'm sure my friend Lainey
Thanks.
will be tickled pink with your extolling her virtue. She's awesome.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I was very
so
impressed.
shout out to
Hmm.
Lainey. All right. Now, question number two. Now that we know how to
Sure.
sort of stand out here in the United States, how can second question for Canadian entrepreneurs looking to establish a business here in the United States is how can I build a professional network quickly, not over
Yeah.
a period of 10 years? How can we do
Yeah,
this?
yeah, I know. Isn't it funny because isn't it the truth when we started our businesses, like it really was like a 10, things evolve. You have kind of your starter networks, then you have the other ones that you grow into. Then you get into this country and this new country, and you go, wow, you know what? My
Boy.
business was referral based. I need to find people that can refer me and also can refer me to things. So the first thing that I'm going to recommend, and again, I'm going to talk from my personal experience, is go to the association that you are related with. So for me, I was very active in Canada in the Canadian Association of Professional Speakers. I was even the president of the chapter. It's like go big or go home. And when I came to the US, I said, okay, I need to go there because I know it's going to be a gold mine of contacts and connections for me on many levels. And I'll just give you some examples of some of the things that kind of I got from that. So, and it's very easy to find your professional organization. You just Google it and go to the meetings. So I actually got business from my professional organization in the US because sometimes people think, well, we're all competition. Well, are you? No, because you're niched and not necessarily. You have different offerings, different target markets. So I had speakers who meeting planners would say, hey, do you have an expert in blah, blah? No, I'm not that, but here, let me refer her. And so it started to build that business. And from that business is how I get a lot of my independent clients too. It also is a great place to get connections for all the services that you need, like trusted connections. You can Google anybody to find accountant, bookkeeper, but most of us, we deal from referral, and we've learned
Yes.
that the hard way. Let's get real.
Hmm.
It's like, and a question I learned to ask besides, do you know a good accountant? Next, with my next question, or do you know a good, bookkeeper or this or that would be, are you happy with them? Because it was amazing. Like, well, not really. And I said, well, thank you for sharing. And then I go to find the person who really was happy with that person. But that was invaluable for me it just opened so many doors.
So the old idea of doing B2B business to client networking, and now I think I've experienced it as well. It's more B2B, like you're basically
Yeah,
collaborating with subject matter experts and learning as much as you can. Well, I'm talking about for myself here, not for others,
yeah,
but I spend when I'm not working with my clients, I'm spending time with other subject matter experts and learning everything I can about what they do, because
yeah,
inevitably, I find that there will be a situation will come up where I'll go, hey, wait a minute, I know somebody who actually might be able to help you. And it happens all the time, Kelly.
yeah,
So
yeah.
you're 100% right. It's really gone from a B2C to a B2B. And then, those relationships you develop with those folks end up being where, you end up sharing business with each other ultimately and being a resource for each other, essentially.
Absolutely. I think it's the new economy. I think it's great.
I agree
And
with you
the
100%.
other thing I'm gonna, yeah, oh, absolutely. I mean, And I think people, and I'm going to kind of mention something that some people are really good at doing and other people don't do. And that is think about the other services that your client group uses. Okay,
Exactly.
complementary services. So,
Preaching
okay,
to
so say my people use financial management experts. I would go to your association meeting and I would introduce myself. And that's, well, you're a business consultant but I go with a very clear intention, say, and I let people know this is what I do. Tell me more about what you do. And I say, I
100%.
think that we have similar clients and there could be an opportunity for cross referral.
I'm telling
And
you,
then,
Kelly, this is exactly how I've seen things evolve down here for me. So you really,
yeah,
when I'm meeting someone new for the first time, my goal is to spend 80% of my time learning about them, even
yeah,
90,
absolutely.
10% about me.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right. So
yeah,
excellent, excellent. Great advice. Great suggestion. Okay. One more question.
sure.
Okay. Where, and this is again for Canadian entrepreneurs looking to start their business up here in the United States. What's
Mhm.
the three questions? We've done great with the first two. The third one is, where and how do I begin to market my business and services?
Okay, so I'm gonna kind of give some easy ones and a few that might surprise you because because I think what happens is when you come to a new place, all of a sudden it feels like everything I used to know, I don't know anymore. It's like I have to relearn all this stuff. And the first thing I'm going to suggest to people is go back to your old contacts and let them know what you're doing, both your professional and your personal contacts. And it could be a simple, email blast to you because if you're still doing cross-border stuff, let them know. But if you're working exclusively in the US, don't discount them because, it amazes me. Oh, my brother-in-law lives there, or so-and-so lives there, or I know so-and-so. And it's just sending a courtesy email blast saying, hey, just letting you know, I'm now located here. This is what I'm doing. And, if you have anyone who you think could benefit from my services, I'd be pleased to meet with them, have a complimentary, talk to see if it's the right fit, and, thank you for your time. And do the same with your personal network. I'm often amazed at the connections people have that I meet them socially through this thing and they know
Yeah.
somebody here. But the
I
thing
think the
is, if you're
latter
going to
is
do
even
that,
more important than the former, even quite frankly, Kelly, is that the personal network,
yeah.
the personal
Hmm.
relationships, because you're right, you
Hmm.
just never know who they know. And because it never would have come up before. So now all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, I have a family member who now lives in, fill in the blank city in America, right?
Right. So I suggest send some emails. You don't have time, like phone calls to the people that you're really close to, uh, emails to the others. But here's the thing, don't assume that even though you might have known people socially for 10 years, that they really know what you do because they often don't. And that's the big surprise people, and they can't figure out why don't I get any referrals, right? Why don't I get any business? So if you're, let them know, hey, this is what I'm specializing in. It's similar to what I did in Canada. So assume, and everybody goes, oh, yes, 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 even if they didn't know the whole scope of it. And family are the worst, quite frankly. I don't think my sister could ever tell you what I did for a living. It was like, something to do with business and stuff. And, you know, and so,
The
and again,
consultant.
just say, hey, yeah, yeah, just something. I don't know. It's not what I do, but you let them know that here's where I am, complimentary thing, and make it fun. Just say, hey, and if it's your family, I'll tell them how fabulous you are. I promise. I mean, inject your humor into it too. So go back to the people you already know, because well, actually, that's how you and I got connected, Wayne, was through a
Absolutely.
contact in
Mr.
Canada.
Wills, my friend Ed Okovich in Toronto. God bless him.
That's
I was
right.
on vacation in California before I moved here. He says, oh, well, you're in California. You should meet with Kelly. She's in down near where you are. And I was like, oh, okay. And here
That's
we
right.
are.
You had your financial business. You were using the radio show as
That was
a
like
kind of
that
an
was like
awareness
20
tool.
some odd. That was back in like 2006 or 7 or something. Time
Oh, I
flies.
know. Yeah, it was a long time ago,
Yeah, it
but
was
it's amazing.
2007, I think, probably.
Yeah, I think that's about right. And it's amazing who will refer business to you and from
Mhm.
where. The other thing is LinkedIn contacts. A lot of people, you can do a geographic search. we talked about if you can't go to every networking meeting, and I get people who do these type of messages to me, so I'll tell you what they are. Just do, again, what other services could my client use? Look up and say if it's an accountant or if it's this or whatever it is, a complimentary service. Do a Google search or a LinkedIn search rather, geographically, find out who those people are and send them an introductory message just saying, hey, I think, I read about you. Let them know you read your profile, and I think we have a similar client group. I think there's an opportunity for some
Great
cross
opportunity
referrals.
to collaborate. Yeah,
Would you be
absolutely.
interested in a phone call to explore this further? And
Interesting.
I've had those calls with people.
Touche. And by the way, we are
Yeah.
going to be doing a webcast here with a LinkedIn expert. So Kelly, keep watching my webcast,
Okay.
okay? Because you'll like that one.
Okay.
And if you like, I'll make an introduction.
Ah, oh, that's great. Oh, you're great.
Okay.
You're always,
So,
Wayne, you're
that's what
great
I
at offering. You're always, I've got one thing that never ceases to amaze me is whatever I'm looking for, you have a person. You got me. I don't know if you remember this, Wayne. I needed a really good cross-border accountant when I was in the
Yes, I
US because I'd
did.
gone through a few had that said they were, and it wasn't good. It didn't turn out well. And you gave me an amazing person, and it was just
I know exactly
awesome.
who it was. He's actually one of the people on my webcast here, Mark Gideon. It was a perfect
Yes,
person
yes,
for you.
yeah.
There we go. Okay, you know what,
Yeah.
Kelly? We've just scratched the surface here. I remember when we
Yeah.
talked about the idea of having you join me as a guest. We would probably do
Mhm.
more than one of these, but we'll assume that we'll have you back as a guest, okay? In some not too long, too far away. But I have one more sort of off the record question before we wrap up here. And again, I'm going to look at it from the sort of glass half empty point of view here. What are what would you say are the biggest, and I know we don't have a lot of time left here, but maybe you can give me an idea, one, maybe two mistakes that entrepreneurs are going to want to avoid when they're trying to establish a business in the US. You're a Canadian, like time out on this, don't do that. What would you say they should be most thinking about?
Sure. Well, again, I'll speak from personal experience here,
Yep.
Wayne. So as
Pain's a
I
great
know life
teacher.
is humbling. It's humbling. So as I mentioned, I had been working in the US for many years. So I'm established in Toronto. I'm flying in and out all throughout the US, doing conferences, met a lot of people. I thought, how much different could it be to actually move there and live there? Well, surprise, surprise. I thought, oh, I'll give you an example. I thought, oh, I'm going to open a corporation, had a corporation in Canada. And the first question they said is, what kind of a corporation would you like? And I said, what do you mean, what kind of a corporation would I like? And I said, well, an S Corp or a C Corp. And then my eyes are starting to glaze over when they went into flow through, keep the taxes, not liability. Blah, blah, blah. What do you think? And I was just like, I think I need someone to explain this to me. It's
Yeah.
not all the same. Reach out to your network.
Trying
Having
to be a
said that,
do-it-yourselfer is not a recommended strategy here. I will tell you right now.
oh no, it isn't. I needed professionals. And by the way, I want to give another shout out to somebody, another interview you did, because I listened to this one. I was like, oh, I had listened to this guy when I first came down. It would have simplified some of this stuff. And it's an interview that you did. I wrote his name down with Adam Traeger, who's a
Adam Traeger,
lawyer.
yeah, I know him well.
Traeger, okay. Yeah, it's 3 questions Canadian entrepreneurs should ask before establishing a business in the US. And he explains in such layman terms the different types of corporations, the tax implications, and even how they protect you. It was really good. I highly recommend that one. There were so many good tips in there for people. So yeah, it's not a do-it-yourselfer. You're right. You've got to find people. And that's one other group, if I could do a shout out, was Canadians abroad. That was very helpful to me too. I also went there and purposely steered towards the entrepreneurs and found a lot of people who could help me find professionals too, based on their experience. And they knew the challenges that I'd be facing based on what I thought business was going to be like, based on what it really was. So, yeah, go talk to other Canadians who've come down. There's just, and similar to you and different people, because you've already cut your eye teeth on this stuff. And this is not something that you want to do in isolation, believe me. It's not impossible, but it's not for the faint of heart.
You're preaching to the choir here. Well,
Yeah.
Kelly, I got to thank you for making time for me. I really do. And it's great to see you. Okay, so I can't imagine that some people listening or watching our webcast today are not going to want to probably check in with you. And I guess the most obvious question I'm going to ask now is, what is the best way for, if someone's trying to reach out to you, what's the best way for them to reach you? What would you recommend?
Sure. The easiest way is through my website. I've got a contact page, and my website, you just shoot me an email and I'll get back to you. So my website is sell yourself.com. 3 words, outsellyourself.com. Yeah, I do phone calls with people who want to kind of just tell me a bit about their situation, what they're looking for, or even a problem they need to be fixed. And if I think I can help you, I'll let you know. And if not, I'll refer you to someone else, or I'll call Wayne, who'll refer you to someone else. Because Wayne knows a lot of people too.
Okay, well, listen, Kelly, I can't thank you enough. It's great seeing you. Kelly McCormick is a business growth and marketing expert. And I'll tell you right now, if you're looking to relocate your business from Canada to the United States or expand, I would highly recommend that you speak to her. Thank you, Kelly McCormick.
Thank you.
I look forward to bringing you the 3 Questions webcast, and I hope you find them educational and informative. Please consider liking this video and subscribing to our YouTube channel. And to receive notification of when our latest webcast is being posted, please click on the notifications bell. Lastly, to schedule an online Zoom consultation with me to discuss your wealth management needs, please click on the link in the description box below, www.onecapital.com/meet with Wayne. Thank you and see you soon.